morning everybody and welcome to morning show. As we know, the simultaneous election will be held on early December. And this election different with the previous election and it will be a new history. Why it can be a new history? Because it will be held in midst of pandemic. So today we will talk about the differences of the previous election, and we want to know how far they prepare for upcoming election. Alright, here already join us a member of General Election, Shalomita Shanggo, and also Marheni Tamar as a voter of General Election Commission. Good morning and welcome. Alright, for Ms. Shalomita Shanggo, are there the differences between the previous election and current election?
Yeah, the regional head election or Pilkada 2020 will go down in history as a Democratic Party that held during the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, there will be some differences in the implementation of this year's Pilkada. The changes, among others, are about the rules, budgets, and implementation procedures that must be in line with efforts to prevent the transmission of the coronavirus. We are preparing a simulation of voting process to counting votes at the polling stations by implementing the COVID-19 prevention health protocols, which involve the COVID-19 handling task force. And in practice, we prioritize the use of digital media in socialization or campaigns, so the pairs of candidates should limit themselves to meeting the general public as much as possible.
Alright, also we already connected with Titi Aprilia France as a governor candidate. Good morning, Titi Aprilia France.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, Miss Titi, according you as a governor candidate, what is the differences between the previously regional election and the current election? What in the minds of the pandemic?
This year's election is very different from before because we face an election in pandemic situation, so we must pay attention for the spread of COVID-19.
Okay, the next is what is your response to Article 58 in the new regulation, which states that candidates in the regional election must simultaneously prioritize campaign activities on social media and online media?
In my opinion, the existence of this law is very good in this current situation to prevent the transmission of COVID-19. In this case, we and our team are required to be more creative to using the technology information, especially for the social media to reaching public in campaigns. However, it can be a challenge for us to reaching people in some village who didn't have the internet connection.
Okay, thank you. The last question is, how are you implementing your campaign?
So far, our campaign is doing well.
Okay, thank you Titi Aprilia France for your time and see you next time. Okay, back to Shalomita. What are the consequences of the holding regional election during the pandemic?
The consequences of holding regional election during a pandemic are budgetary, medical, and technical consequences. Some important things include the rapid test for the organizers, provision of personal protective equipment or PPE, provision of sanitation facilities, checking body conditions, physical distancing, restriction on crowding, regulating the number of participants and test personnel, and the use of information technology for coordination and refreshing face-to-face procedures. And also about the possibility of low participation rates, and this has the potential for the game of money politics, which result in the elected leaders who are those with strong financial support and those with the best capacity.
Oh, okay. According to the consequences that are predicted to occur, how can the General Election Commission minimize that?
We minimize the mode of violation in elections by supervising the elections. Election supervision is an activity of observing, reviewing, examining, and evaluating the election administration process in accordance with statutory regulations. Election supervisors in carrying out supervision use two major strategies, which is prevention and repression. Prevention is carried out by taking steps and optimal efforts to prevent potential violation early on, while prosecution is carried out by following up on the finding of election supervisors as well as reports from the public, then follow up by conducting studies and recommendation to related institutions in accordance with laws and regulations. And the voter can also play a role in overseeing the voting process by becoming a voting organizing groups, a district election committee, a voting committee, or a voting committee supervisors.
As long we listen the explanation from General Election Commission Shalomita Syanggo, for Maheni Tamar, what is your opinion about the election will be held in pandemic time?
In my opinion, it should be postponed because considering our condition is currently in the era of the COVID-19 pandemic, if the elections are held, it will definitely cause new cluster and COVID-19 patterns will definitely have more cases in Indonesia.
Okay, Shalom. What is your response about the Marheni opinion?
Okay, so Pilkada administration during normal times is still well planned and implemented with very strict health protocols, considering that nowadays many people are not disciplined, and we have developed standard health protocols for Pilkada which will be implemented in the midst of this pandemic. And during the implementations, the organizers are required to take vitamins and rapid tests. And for the campaigns, we designed to avoid crowds, such as rallies and confined meetings. And for the prevention of the COVID-19 transmissions, the participants who come at the polling stations have to wear masks, wash their hands first, and then check their body temperature, and then use basic gloves when voting. And after voting, they can wash their hands, use soap and water, and after that, the ink will be dripped onto the participants' fingers, so the participants do not need to dip their fingers in the ink anymore, and they can wash their hands again before they back to home.
Alright, the last question is, what is the strategy carried out by the General Election Commission to head the regional election in the midst of pandemic.
Okay, the first strategy is to socialize the implementations of health protocols massively, then integrate the standards of health protocols into training materials for voting organizing groups officers, and reproducing the simulation of voting process and counting votes according to the standards of health protocols at the polling stations. And the next strategy is to intensify multi-stakeholder coordinations to impose stricter sanctions for Pilkada participants who violate health protocols.
Okay. So this current election have a lot of challenges, both of the public and the election organizer. Okay, Miss Shalomita and Miss Marheni Tamar, thank you for coming on. See you next time. Stay safe.
Thank you.
A member of general election, Shalomita Syanggo, and also a voter of general election. Ditatawa. So this current election have a
Kuat soal itu, jangan keluar lidah.
Ini balik satu kali jadi buku. Kalau nggak balik ke layar, balik.
Alright, the last question is, what is the strategy? Kita bilang oke baru. Oke, satu ya.
Tunggu. Diam dulu. We minimize the mode of